My name is Ryan Castellano. I just turned 18, and I thought becoming an adult meant finally understanding the world around me. Instead, it meant discovering that everything I believed about my family was a carefully constructed lie, and that my mother had been protecting me from a truth so dangerous that revealing it could only happen when I was legally old enough to make my own choices. This is the story of a dusty envelope, 24 hours that changed my life, and the moment I realized my childhood had been a beautiful illusion built on my mother's sacrifice. It was a Tuesday in late September, unseasonably warm for Connecticut. I had driven home from Boston University the night before, missing 2 days of classes to attend my parents' divorce hearing. After 20 years of marriage, it was finally ending, not with drama or screaming or last-minute reconciliations, but with signatures on legal documents and the quiet dissolution of a life they had built together. I sat in the hallway outside the courtroom while lawyers and judges made it official. My parents had agreed on everything: the house, the cars, the savings, the custody of my younger sister, Emma, who was still 16. It was all very civil, very mature, very final. Dad would keep the house. Mom was moving into an apartment across town. Emma would split her time between them. And me, technically an adult now, was free to choose. Except I had not been given a choice. Not really. This hearing was the first time I had seen my parents in the same room in 6 months, since Dad moved out last March. They had each told me their version of why the marriage ended: irreconcilable differences, growing apart, wanting different things. The usual vague explanations that people give when they do not want to tell the real truth. The courtroom doors opened, and people started filing out. I saw Dad first, looking older than I remembered, his suit hanging a bit loose like he had lost weight. He saw me and nodded, a tight smile that did not reach his eyes. "I will call you this week," he said, and then he was gone, walking out of the courthouse with his lawyer, out of the marriage, out of the life we had all shared. Mom came out a few minutes later with her lawyer, a woman named Patricia Chun, who I had met once before. Mom looked exhausted but also relieved, like she had been holding her breath for months and could finally exhale. She was wearing a navy dress I had never seen before, her hair pulled back in a way that made her look younger and older at the same time. "Hi, sweetheart," she said, hugging me tight. "Thank you for being here." "Of course, Mom. How are you feeling?" "Honestly, I do not know yet. Ask me again in a week." She glanced at her lawyer. "Patricia, this is my son, Ryan. Ryan, Patricia has been a godsend through all of this." We shook hands. Patricia had kind eyes and a firm grip. "Your mother speaks very highly of you. I am glad you could be here today." They talked for a few more minutes about paperwork and next steps, and then Patricia excused herself, leaving Mom and me standing in the hallway of the courthouse. Other people moved around us, other lives being legally rearranged, other families being redefined by judges' signatures. "Let me walk you to your car," I said. We walked in silence through the courthouse, down the wide stone steps, into the parking lot where the September sun felt too bright for such a somber day. Mom stopped at her car, a Honda Accord she had bought used a few months ago, and turned to face me. "Ryan, I need to talk to you about something important, but not here." She looked around like she was worried someone might overhear, which seemed paranoid given we were alone in a parking lot. Then she reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. It was old, yellowed at the edges, with my name written on the front in handwriting I did not recognize. "What is this?" I asked. "Do not open this here," she said quietly, urgently. "Go home and pack your bag. Your important things, documents, photos, anything you cannot replace. Then read what is inside. You have 24 hours. Mom, you are scaring me. 24 hours for what?" "To decide," she said, and her eyes filled with tears. "To decide if you trust me. If you believe me, if you are willing to do something that will seem crazy, but is actually the only way to keep us all safe. My heart started pounding. Safe from what? Safe from who? Read the letter. Pack your bag. I will call you tonight. She pressed the envelope into my hands. Ryan, I know this seems dramatic. I know you think I am overreacting or being paranoid, but you are 18 now. You are an adult. You have the right to know the truth about your father, about our marriage, about why I have been lying to you your entire life. And once you know, you have 24 hours to decide what to do with that truth. Why 24 hours? Because that is how long I have before he realizes what I am planning. Before he figures out that the divorce was not the end, it was the beginning. Before he understands that I am not staying in that apartment across town, and neither is Emma, and if you are smart, neither are you. She cupped my face with both hands, something she had not done since I was a child. Trust me, baby. One more time. Trust your mother. Read the letter. Pack your bag. Wait for my call. And then she got in her car and drove away, leaving me standing in a courthouse parking lot holding an envelope that felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. I sat in my car for a long time, staring at that envelope. The handwriting on the front was careful, feminine, old-fashioned, not Mom's handwriting. The envelope itself was the kind you might find in a desk drawer from decades ago, slightly dusty, sealed with tape that had yellowed with age. Every instinct told me to rip it open right there. But Mom's voice echoed in my head. Do not open this here. Go home and pack your bag. So I started the car and drove, not to my apartment in Boston where I was supposed to return for Thursday classes, but to my childhood home, the house where I had grown up, where Dad still lived. Dad's car was not in the driveway when I pulled up. He was probably at work, trying to distract himself from the fact that he had just signed away 20 years of his life. I used my key to let myself in, and the house felt immediately wrong. Not in an obvious way. Nothing was broken or out of place, but it felt empty in a way it never had before, even when no one was home. It felt like a stage set, a hollow representation of a home rather than an actual home. I went up to my room, the room I had slept in from age 5 until I left for college last year. It still had my posters on the walls, my trophies on the shelves, my books alphabetized on the bookcase. But it did not feel like mine anymore. It felt like a museum exhibit. Ryan's childhood room, preserved but no longer lived in. I pulled my old duffel bag from the closet and started packing like Mom had instructed. Important things. Documents. I grabbed my birth certificate from the file box under my bed, my social security card, my passport. Photos. I took the framed picture of Mom, Emma, and me from last Christmas. I took the photo album from my desk drawer, the one with pictures from my childhood. I grabbed my laptop, my external hard drive with all my schoolwork, my favorite books. It felt like I was erasing myself from the room, like I was preparing to disappear. And maybe I was. Maybe that was what Mom's cryptic warning meant. 24 hours to decide. Decide what? To run. To hide. From what? I sat on my bed, the duffel bag packed beside me, and finally opened the envelope. Inside was a letter, several pages long, written in that same careful handwriting. The date at the top was from 18 years ago, before I was born, and it was addressed to my mother. Dear Jennifer, if you are reading this, it means I am gone. It means cancer won the fight, or a car accident happened, or any of the 100 other ways a person can leave this world too soon. I am writing this to you because you are my sister, my best friend, and the only person I trust with the truth. My name is Sarah Castellano, and I am dying. The doctors say I have 6 months, maybe less. But before I go, I need you to know something about my husband, about the man I married, about the danger I am leaving behind. I need you to know about Michael. My breath stopped. Michael. That was my father's name. Michael Castellano. But this letter was from someone named Sarah, written to my mother Jennifer, my mother's sister, my Aunt Sarah, who had died before I was born. At least, that was what I had always been told. Mom's younger sister, who passed away from cancer when she was only 25. I had seen pictures of her. Mom kept them in an album. Two sisters who looked so much alike they could have been twins. But this letter was saying Sarah had been married to someone named Michael, to someone with my father's name. I kept reading, my hands shaking so badly the pages rattled. Michael is not who he pretends to be. I have learned this too late. After marrying him, after believing his lies, after ignoring warning signs that should have been obvious. He is controlling. He is manipulative. And Jennifer, I think he is dangerous. It started small. Comments about my clothes, my friends, my family. Then it was checking my phone, my email, demanding to know where I was every moment. Then it was isolating me, convincing me that you and Mom were toxic, that I was better off without you. I believed him because I loved him, because I thought love meant trusting your partner even when your gut said something was wrong. But then I got sick, and when I got sick, when I was vulnerable and scared and needed him most, I saw who he really was. He did not comfort me. He resented me. He resented my illness for inconveniencing him, for limiting his freedom, for making him look like the devoted husband when really he was just waiting for me to die so he could move on. Jennifer, I found things, documents, plans, evidence of financial fraud, of money being moved around in ways that make no sense, unless he is preparing for something. I found emails to another woman, someone he is already planning a life with while I am still breathing. I found notes about selling the house, liquidating assets, disappearing. And I found something else, something that terrified me so much I hid copies of everything in a safety deposit box at First National Bank. Box number 327. The key is in my jewelry box, in the false bottom compartment. If anything happens to me, if Michael does anything suspicious, you need to get those documents. You need to see what he is capable of. But Jennifer, the most important thing, I am pregnant. 8 weeks along. I have not told Michael, because I do not know what he will do with this information. I do not know if he will see this baby as another complication to manage, another obstacle to his plans. I do not know if I can trust him with my child's life. If I do not survive this cancer, if these are truly my last months, I need you to promise me something. Promise me you will protect my baby. Promise me you will not let Michael raise this child alone. Promise me that if the worst happens, you will find a way to keep my baby safe, even if it means doing something drastic. I love you, sister. I am sorry for all the time we lost when I let Michael pull me away from you. I am sorry I did not listen when you warned me about him. I am sorry this letter is the way you are learning the truth, but please, please protect my baby. That is all I ask. Your sister always, Sarah. The letter fell from my hands. I could not breathe, could not think, could not process what I had just read. My Aunt Sarah had been married to a man named Michael Castellano. She had been pregnant when she died, and my mother Jennifer, her sister, had somehow kept that baby safe. I was that baby. Michael Castellano was not my father. He was my uncle by marriage, my dead aunt's husband, and my mother had been lying to me for 18 years, letting me believe that Michael was my father, that Sarah was just a tragic and I had never known, that our family was normal and whole and real. The room spun. I put my head between my knees and forced myself to breathe. In for 4 counts, out for 4 counts. The breathing technique my high school guidance counselor had taught me for anxiety attacks. In, out, until the room stopped tilting and I could think again. My phone rang. Mom. I answered without thinking. Did you read it? Her voice was tight with tension. What the hell, Mom? What the actual hell? I know, sweetheart. I am so sorry. I am sorry you had to find out this way. But you are 18 now. You needed to know before. Before what? Before you disappear? Before you take Emma and run? Before Dad, Michael, whoever the hell he is, before he realizes what you are planning. The words came out harsh, angry, but underneath the anger was fear. Pure, cold fear. Ryan, listen to me. Your Aunt Sarah gave me that letter 2 weeks before she died. She told me about the pregnancy. She told me about Michael's behavior. And she begged me to take you if anything happened to her. So when she died, I did. I went to the hospital. I held you right after you were born, and I took you home with me. What about Michael? What about the man I think is my father? He did not want you, Mom said, and her voice broke. He told me the baby was too much, that he could not handle raising a child alone, that he needed to grieve and move on with his life. So I offered to take you. I told him I would raise you as my own, that he could be involved as much or as little as he wanted. And at first, he wanted nothing to do with you. So what changed? Why did you marry him? Why did you let him into my life? Because he came back when you were 2 years old. He showed up at my apartment with flowers and apologies and promises to change. He said he had been to therapy, that he had processed his grief, that he wanted to be in your life, wanted to be a father to you. And I believed him, Ryan. I believed him because I thought it was what Sarah would have wanted. I thought having your biological father in your life was important, so I let him back in. We started dating, and eventually we got married. And you never told me? In 18 years, you never thought I deserved to know the truth. I wanted to tell you. God, I wanted to tell you so many times. But Michael made me promise. He said it would confuse you, hurt you, damage you to know that your mother had died and I was actually your aunt. He said we should just be a normal family. And I went along with it because I thought he was right. I thought I was protecting you. But he was not right. He was controlling you, just like he controlled Sarah. There was a long silence. Then Mom said quietly, "Yes, just like he controlled Sarah." And I did not see it, Ryan. Not for years. Not until Emma was born and I saw how differently he treated her than you. How he doted on her, but barely tolerated you. How he undermined every decision I made about you, but gave Emma everything. I thought it was normal dad stuff, favoritism maybe, but not something darker. Not until I started finding the same things Sarah found. My blood ran cold. What did you find? Financial irregularities. Money being moved into accounts I did not know about. Emails with women he claimed were work colleagues. Plans that did not include us. And Ryan, I found Sarah's safety deposit box key. In his drawer. He has had it all these years, which means he knows what Sarah documented. He knows there is evidence of whatever he was planning back then, and he has been living in fear that someday someone would find it. That is why you are leaving. That is why you have 24 hours. Tomorrow, the locksmith is coming to change the locks on the house. It was in the divorce decree. Michael agreed to it because he thought he was keeping the house, and I was moving out. But what he does not know is that I've filed an emergency custody motion for Emma based on new evidence. Evidence from Sarah's box. Evidence that shows Michael Castellano is not fit to parent either of you. The hearing is tomorrow afternoon. And if I win, Emma comes with me. And you need to decide if you are coming too. Where are you going? Somewhere he cannot find us. Somewhere safe. I have been planning this for 6 months, Ryan. Since I finally opened Sarah's safety deposit box and saw what she had documented. Since I realized I was living the exact same nightmare she tried to escape. I have money saved. I have a place lined up. I have new IDs for Emma and me. And I have one for you too if you want it. New IDs? Mom, that is illegal. That is identity fraud or... That is survival, she interrupted. Your father, Michael, is dangerous. Sarah knew it. I know it. And now you know it. He has been stealing from his employer for years. He has connections to people who do very bad things. And if he realizes I am not just leaving, but taking evidence that could destroy him, he will come after us. So yes, we need new identities. We need to disappear. And you need to decide in the next 24 hours if you are willing to give up everything you know to stay safe. I could not speak, could not process the magnitude of what she was asking. Ryan, I know this is overwhelming. I know it seems insane, but I need you to understand something. Sarah died protecting you. She spent her last months gathering evidence and writing letters and making plans to keep you safe from Michael. And I have spent 18 years continuing that protection. Now it is your turn to decide. Do you trust me enough to walk away from everything? Or do you stay here, in this life, with a man who is not really your father, and who has been lying to you since the day you were born? I need time to think. You have 24 hours. Use them wisely. I love you, sweetheart, more than you know. And whatever you decide, I will respect it. But know this, Emma and I are leaving tomorrow night, with or without you, because I cannot protect you if you do not want to be protected. She hung up. I sat there in my childhood bedroom, surrounded by the evidence of a life I thought I knew, holding a letter from a mother I never knew I had, and tried to understand how everything had fallen apart so completely in the span of a single day. Sarah Castellano was my mother, not Jennifer. Sarah, the aunt in the photo albums, the sister who died too young, the tragedy that hung over our family like a shadow. She had given birth to me knowing she was dying. She had tried to protect me even from beyond the grave. And Jennifer, the woman I called Mom, had been protecting me too, in her own complicated way, even when it meant marrying the man who had destroyed her sister's life. I needed answers. I needed to see Sarah's evidence. I needed to know what Michael had done, what he was still doing, what danger Mom thought we were in. The safety deposit box. First National Bank. Box 327. The key would be in Sarah's jewelry box, in a false bottom compartment. But where was Sarah's jewelry box? Had Mom kept it? Had Michael? I went downstairs and started searching. Michael would be home soon. He usually got home from work around 6, and it was almost 5 now. I did not have much time. The master bedroom felt like trespassing. I had never gone through my parents' things before, but they were not my parents, were they? Mom was my aunt. Michael was my uncle. Nothing was what it seemed. I found it in Mom's closet, on the top shelf, behind a stack of sweaters. A wooden jewelry box, small and ornate, clearly old. I pulled it down and opened it. Costume jewelry, nothing expensive. Earrings and bracelets and necklaces that looked like they were from the 70s or 80s. But when I lifted the velvet liner, there was the false bottom, and underneath, a small silver key. I pocketed the key, put the jewelry box back, and left the house before Michael could come home and find me there. I drove straight to First National Bank, but they were closing when I arrived. The lobby was dark, the doors locked. Safety deposit access would have to wait until morning. I spent that night in a motel room off the highway, unable to face my apartment in Boston, unable to stay at the house. I ordered pizza I could not eat, and watched television I did not see, and tried to make sense of 18 years of lies. My phone buzzed with texts from friends asking where I was, why I missed class, if everything was okay. I did not know how to answer. How do you tell people that your entire life is a lie? That your father is not your father? That your mother is not your mother? That you might have to disappear tomorrow and never see any of them again? I did not sleep. I just lay there in the dark, thinking about Sarah, wondering what she had been like, wondering if I looked like her, acted like her, inherited pieces of her personality, wondering what my life would have been like if she had survived, if Michael had been a different person, if Mom had told me the truth years ago. At 8 in the morning, I was waiting outside First National Bank when they opened. A kind woman named Mrs. Patterson helped me access the safety deposit box, asking no questions, when I showed her the key and explained it had belonged to my late aunt. The box was stuffed with documents, bank statements showing large withdrawals, emails printed out, conversations between Michael and someone named Victor about merchandise and deliveries and cleaning up loose ends. Photos of Michael with people who looked like exactly the kind of people you do not want your family connected to. A notebook in Sarah's handwriting, documenting dates, times, conversations, incidents of controlling behavior, threats, financial manipulation, and at the bottom a letter. Another letter. This one addressed to me. My dearest Ryan, you will never read this if I survive. If I beat this cancer and get to raise you myself, I will burn this letter and you will never know I wrote it. But if you are reading this, it means I did not make it. It means my sister Jennifer is raising you, just like I asked her to. And it means you have finally learned the truth about your father. I am so sorry, my sweet boy. I am sorry I brought you into a world where a man like Michael exists. I am sorry I did not see who he really was before I married him, before I got pregnant, before it was too late to protect you properly. But I want you to know something important. You are not his. Yes, biologically you came from him, but you are not his darkness. You are not his manipulation, or his cruelty, or his capacity for violence. You are mine. You are the best parts of me. My curiosity, my stubbornness, my refusal to accept injustice. You are also your Aunt Jennifer, who I know is raising you with more love and patience than I could have managed alone. You are a product of the women who loved you, not the man who provided DNA. If you are reading this, it means Jennifer found the evidence I gathered. It means she knows what Michael is capable of. And it means she is trying to protect you the way I cannot anymore. Trust her, Ryan. She is the strongest person I know. She will keep you safe. She will do whatever it takes. But also know this. You do not owe Michael anything. Not your loyalty, not your love, not your presence in his life. If Jennifer has to take you and run, you go with her. You do not look back. You do not feel guilty. You survive. You thrive. You become the man I know you can be, free from his influence. I wish I could watch you grow up. I wish I could see your first steps, and hear your first words, and take you to your first day of school. I wish I could be there for all the big moments and the small ones. But since I cannot, I am trusting Jennifer to do it for me, and I am trusting you to be brave enough to live your life on your own terms, not his. I love you, my son. I loved you from the moment I knew you existed, and that love will follow you always, even if I cannot. Be brave. Be kind. Be free. Your mother, Sarah. I cried there in the bank vault. Big, ugly, heaving sobs that I could not control. Mrs. Patterson brought me tissues and water and did not ask questions, just patted my shoulder and gave me privacy to fall apart. When I could breathe again, I packed all the documents back into the box, all except Sarah's letter, which I folded carefully and put in my wallet. Then I drove to the address Mom had texted me that morning, a parking lot behind a grocery store. She was waiting in her car, Emma in the passenger seat, looking scared and confused. I parked next to them and got into their back seat. Emma turned around, her eyes red from crying. Ryan, what is happening? Mom says we are leaving. She says we cannot tell Dad. She says, It is okay, Em. I interrupted. Mom is right. We need to leave. And I will explain everything, but not here. Not now. Do you trust me? Emma was 16, old enough to understand fear, young enough to still believe her big brother could fix anything. She nodded. I trust you. Mom turned to look at me. Did you go to the bank? I read everything. I saw the evidence. I read Sarah's letter. My voice broke on her name. My mother's letter. Mom's eyes filled with tears. I am so sorry, Ryan. I am so sorry I did not tell you sooner. I thought I was protecting you, but I was really just protecting myself from having to explain the inexplicable. Where are we going? North. Canada first, to cross the border. Then west. I have a friend in British Columbia. Someone Michael does not know about. She has a house we can stay in while we figure out the next steps. I have money saved, enough for a few months while I look for work. And I have a lawyer who specializes in cases like this, in helping people escape dangerous situations. What about school? What about my life? You will have a life, sweetheart. Just a different one. A safer one. You can still go to school, just not Boston University. You can still have friends and a career and everything you want. It will just be under a new name, in a new place, without Michael. I thought about Boston, my apartment, my roommate, my classes, my job at the campus bookstore. I thought about my friends, my plans, my carefully constructed future. And then I thought about Sarah, dying at 25, trying desperately to protect a baby she would never raise. I thought about Mom, living a lie for 18 years to honor her sister's last wish. I thought about Emma, sitting in the front seat, looking terrified, but trusting that we would keep her safe. What happens to Michael? The evidence goes to the FBI. The documents Sarah gathered, plus the new evidence I have been collecting, prove that Michael is involved in money laundering and possibly worse. Once we are safely across the border, my lawyer submits everything. Michael gets arrested. He goes to prison, and we stay gone until it is safe to come back, if we ever want to come back. He will look for us. Let him look. He does not know where we are going. He does not know about my friend in Canada. He does not even know I found Sarah's safety deposit box. As far as he is concerned, I am moving into that apartment across town, and Emma is splitting time between us like the decree says. He will not realize we are gone until tomorrow night, and by then we will be across the border. I looked at Emma. You okay with this, Em? She shook her head. No, I am not okay. I am scared and confused, and I do not understand why we cannot just stay, and why Dad is suddenly dangerous, and why my whole life is falling apart. But I trust Mom, and I trust you, so if you say we need to go, we go. I reached forward and squeezed her shoulder. We need to go. Mom let out a breath she seemed to have been holding for hours. Pack light. We leave in 3 hours. Meet back here. Only bring what fits in one bag. Clothes, important documents, anything you cannot replace. No electronics that can be tracked. No social media. No contact with anyone from your old life until I say it is safe. Understood. We understood. I went back to my motel room and repacked my duffel bag. Everything non-essential stayed behind. I factory reset my phone and left it on the bed. I took cash from the ATM, maxing out my daily limit. I bought a burner phone from a convenience store. I called my roommate from a payphone and told him I had a family emergency, that I would not be back for a while, that he should find a new roommate. I called the bookstore and quit. I called the university registrar and withdrew from all my classes, citing medical leave. Each call felt like cutting a rope that tethered me to my old life. By the time I was done, Ryan Castellano, the Boston University student, barely existed anymore. 3 hours later, we met back at the parking lot. Mom's car was packed with suitcases. Emma sat in the back, looking shell-shocked. I followed them in my car as we headed north on Interstate 91, away from Connecticut, away from Michael, away from everything we had ever known. We drove for hours, Mom navigating with a paper map, because GPS could be tracked. We stopped only for gas and bathroom breaks, paying cash. avoiding cameras when we could. Emma slept fitfully in the back seat. I followed their taillights through the darkness, my mind spinning with everything that had happened in the last 30 hours. Just 30 hours ago, I had been a college student going home to support my parents through their divorce. A normal kid with a normal family and normal problems. Now I was an 18-year-old fleeing across the country with an aunt I thought was my mother, a sister who was actually my half-sister, running from a man I thought was my father who was actually my uncle and possibly a criminal. We crossed into Canada just before dawn. The border agent looked at our passports, our real passports, still legal, not yet needing to be replaced with the fake IDs Mom had prepared. He asked routine questions about the purpose of our visit, how long we were staying. Mom smiled and said we were visiting friends, just a week or two of vacation. He stamped our passports and waved us through. As we drove away from the border crossing into a country I had visited only once before on a school trip, Emma started crying. Quiet tears that she tried to hide. I could not blame her. She was 16 years old. She had just left her entire life behind. Her school, her friends, her room, her father, everything familiar and safe. And unlike me, she had not read the letters. She had not seen the evidence. She was running on faith alone, trusting that Mom and I knew what we were doing. We stopped at a rest area about an hour past the border. I got coffee and donuts that none of us wanted to eat. We sat at a picnic table in the early morning light, exhausted and shell-shocked, and trying to process what we had just done. "I need to tell you something, Emma," Mom said gently. "Something about Ryan, about our family, about why we had to leave." And she told her everything, about Sarah, about Michael, about the pregnancy and the letters and the safety deposit box, about me not being her biological son but her nephew, her sister's child, about Michael's controlling behavior and the evidence of criminal activity, about 18 years of lies told with good intentions, but lies nonetheless. Emma listened without interrupting, her face cycling through shock and confusion and hurt and finally understanding. When Mom finished, Emma looked at me with new eyes. "So you are my cousin, not my brother?" "Technically," I said. "But Emma, that does not change anything between us. I have been your brother your whole life. That does not stop being true just because the biology is different. Did you know? Did you always know? I found out yesterday, same time as you. Basically, I am just as confused and messed up about this as you are." She processed this for a long moment. Then she said, "Dad is not your dad. He was mean to you growing up because you were not really his son. All those times he favored me. All those times he made you feel less than. It was because of this." "Yeah, that is so messed up." She looked at Mom. "How could you let him treat Ryan like that? How could you stay married to someone who hurt your nephew, your sister's son?" Mom's face crumpled. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought having a father figure was important. I thought the lie was protecting Ryan. But you are right, Emma. I should have left years ago. I should have protected him better. I was scared and foolish, and I let my sister down. I reached across the table and took Mom's hand. "You did not let her down. You raised me. You loved me. You kept me safe for 18 years. And now you are keeping us both safe by getting us out. Sarah would be proud of you. I am proud of you." We sat there for a while longer, three people connected by blood and lies and complicated love, watching the sun come up over a country that was not our own, beginning a life we never could have imagined. Mom's friend in British Columbia was named Catherine, a woman in her 50s who asked no questions and welcomed us like we were family. She lived in a small town outside Vancouver, in a house with extra bedrooms and a view of mountains that took my breath away. She hugged Mom for a long time when we arrived, whispering things I could not hear, and then showed us to our rooms and told us to rest. I slept for 14 hours straight. When I woke up, it was the next evening, and my entire body felt like it had been through a war. I went downstairs and found Mom in the kitchen with Catherine, drinking tea and talking quietly. "He knows," Mom said when she saw me. "I got a call from my lawyer. Michael reported us missing this morning when Emma did not show up for school and I did not answer my phone. He is claiming I kidnapped Emma, that I am unstable, that he wants his daughter back. What happens now? Now the evidence goes to the FBI like we planned. My lawyer is filing an emergency custody order in family court, along with a restraining order, and we stay here until it is safe. How long? I do not know, sweetheart. Weeks, maybe months. However long it takes." Catherine spoke up. "You are welcome here as long as you need. All three of you. I have spare rooms, and it is nice to have the company." Over the following days, we started to build some kind of routine. Emma enrolled in the local high school under Mom's maiden name, Emma Hartford instead of Emma Castellano. I started looking into online classes, universities I could attend remotely while we figured out our situation. Mom found a job at a bookstore in town, something quiet and safe that paid cash under the table. And we waited for news about Michael, waited to hear if the evidence would be enough, waited to find out if we could ever go home or if this was home now. The call came 3 weeks after we left. Mom's lawyer with an update. The FBI had arrested Michael based on the evidence Sarah had collected and the additional documentation Mom had provided. He was being charged with money laundering, fraud, and conspiracy, the crimes he had been committing for years. The reason Sarah had been so afraid, the danger Mom had been protecting us from. All of it was finally catching up to him. But that was not all. During the investigation, they had discovered something else, something worse. Michael had been involved in a scheme to defraud elderly clients through his work as a financial advisor. He had been stealing from people for over a decade, forging documents, falsifying records. Sarah had suspected it, had documented some of it before she died, but the full extent of his crimes was only now coming to light. "He is going to prison," Mom's lawyer said, "probably for a very long time. 20 years, maybe more." Emma was relieved. I was relieved, but Mom just looked tired. "Sarah knew," she said after the lawyer hung up. "She knew what he was, and she tried to tell everyone, but no one believed her. Everyone thought she was being paranoid because of the cancer, because of the stress. Even me, even her own sister did not believe her until it was too late. You believed her enough to protect me," I said. "You kept her letter. You found the safety deposit box. You got us out. It took me 18 years, Ryan. 18 years to do what Sarah asked me to do in her letter. 18 years of watching Michael be cruel to you, of making excuses, of pretending everything was fine. I failed her. I failed you." "No," I said firmly. "You did not fail anyone. You did an impossible thing in an impossible situation. You protected me the best way you knew how, and when you realized the danger was real and immediate, you got us out. That is not failure. That is survival." The custody hearing happened remotely, with us participating via video call from Catherine's living room. Michael appeared from jail, wearing an orange jumpsuit, looking haggard and angry. He argued that Mom had poisoned us against him, that she had kidnapped Emma, that he was innocent of all charges and being railroaded by a vindictive ex-wife. The judge listened patiently. Then she reviewed the evidence. The documents from Sarah's safety deposit box, the financial records, the testimony from FBI agents about the ongoing investigation, and most damning, the psychological evaluation that showed Michael exhibited traits of narcissistic personality disorder and had a documented history of controlling and manipulative behavior. "Mr. Castellano," the judge said, "you are currently facing federal charges that carry significant prison time. Even if you were not, The evidence presented today shows a pattern of behavior that makes you unsuitable for custody of a minor child. Full custody is granted to Jennifer Hartford. Emma will remain with her mother. And as for you, Mr. Ryan Castellano, she looked directly at me through the video screen. You are 18 years old and therefore free to make your own choices about your relationship with Mr. Castellano. But for what it is worth, this court recognizes that you are a victim in this situation as much as anyone. Michael started yelling, saying the judge was biased, that this was all a setup, that he would appeal, but his lawyer looked resigned, like he already knew it was over. After the hearing ended, the three of us sat in Catherine's living room in stunned silence. It was over, really over. Michael could not touch us, could not force Emma to visit him, could not manipulate or control or hurt us anymore. What happens now? Emma asked quietly. Now we decide, Mom said. Do we stay here? Do we go back to Connecticut? Do we start over somewhere completely new? For the first time in 18 years, we actually get to choose. We stayed in Canada for 6 more months while the legal proceedings played out. Michael was convicted on multiple counts and sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. The house in Connecticut was seized as part of asset forfeiture. Everything we had left behind, photos, furniture, memories, was gone, sold off to pay restitution to Michael's victims. But somehow that felt right. That house had never really been a home, anyway. It had been a stage set for a lie we all agreed to live. In the spring, we moved back to the United States, but not to Connecticut. Mom had always wanted to live in Oregon, so that is where we went. A small town outside Portland, nothing like the suburbs where I grew up. We rented a house together, the three of us, and started over. Emma finished high school and made new friends who knew her as Emma Hartford, who knew nothing about Michael or the trial or the life we left behind. She was lighter somehow, freer, more herself than I had ever seen her. Mom went back to school to become a librarian, something she had always wanted to do, but never had the courage to try while married to Michael. She dated occasionally, nice men who treated her with respect, though she was in no hurry to get serious with anyone. I am learning how to be just Jennifer for a while, she told me. Not someone's wife or someone's caretaker, just me. And I enrolled at Portland State University to finish my degree in social work. I wanted to work with families like ours, families fractured by secrets and abuse and impossible choices. I wanted to help kids like Emma and me figure out how to survive and thrive after everything falls apart. I also started going to therapy, real therapy, with a counselor who specialized in complex family trauma. We talked about Sarah, about the mother I never knew who died trying to protect me. We talked about Michael, about the lies and the manipulation and the cruelty disguised as parenting. We talked about Mom, about forgiveness and understanding and the complicated truth that people can do the best they can and still cause harm. Do you think you will ever want to see him? My therapist asked one day, about 6 months into our work together. Michael, I mean, when you are ready. I thought about it. Maybe. Someday. Not to forgive him or to reconnect, but just to look him in the eye as an adult and tell him that he does not own me, that his DNA does not define me, that I survived him and I am better for it. That is a powerful motivation. My mother, Sarah, she wrote in her letter that I am not his darkness, that I am her curiosity and stubbornness, and I want to believe that. But part of me wonders if I will always carry some of him with me, Some genetic predisposition to manipulation or cruelty, or whatever made him the way he is. You are not your genetics, Ryan. You are your choices. And every choice you have made since learning the truth has been about protecting people, about choosing truth over comfort, about building rather than destroying. That is who you are, not because of your DNA, but in spite of it. On my 20th birthday, Mom gave me a gift, a framed photo of Sarah holding a newborn baby, me, just hours old, before she got too sick to hold me anymore. Sarah looked young and tired and scared, but also filled with fierce love. On the back of the frame, Mom had written, "Your mother would be so proud of the man you have become." I kept that photo on my desk all through college. On hard days, when I was overwhelmed by schoolwork or struggling with the trauma of everything that had happened, I would look at that photo and remember. Sarah had faced her death, knowing she was leaving me in danger, but she had done everything in her power to protect me anyway. She had documented evidence. She had written letters. She had trusted her sister to do what she could not, and Mom had honored that trust, even when it cost her everything, even when it meant living a lie for 18 years, even when it meant marrying a dangerous man and staying with him far too long. They had both protected me in their own way, and now it was my job to honor that protection by living a life that mattered, by becoming a person who helped others the way I had been helped. I graduated with my bachelor's degree in social work at 22. Mom and Emma came to the ceremony, along with Catherine, who had become like family. We took photos on the quad, me in my cap and gown, all of us smiling. Real smiles. Free smiles. After graduation, I took a job at a nonprofit that helped families escaping domestic violence. I worked with kids who had witnessed things no child should see, who were carrying trauma they did not have words for, who needed someone to tell them that what they experienced was not normal and not their fault. I told them about boundaries, about how love should not hurt, about how leaving is not abandonment, it is survival, about how the bravest thing you can do sometimes is save yourself so you can be around to save others later. One of the kids I worked with was a 19-year-old named Marcus, who reminded me so much of myself at that age. His family situation was complicated. An abusive stepfather, a mother who could not leave, younger siblings he was trying to protect. He came to me one day, frustrated and exhausted, and asked how I did it. Did what? I asked. How did you leave? How did you walk away from your family, knowing they might hate you for it? How did you live with that guilt? I told him my story, not all of it, but enough, about the envelope and the 24 hours and the choice to run, about leaving everything behind, about the months of uncertainty and fear, and about how, years later, I could finally see that leaving had not destroyed my family, it had saved us. The guilt does not go away, I said honestly, but it gets quieter, and eventually you realize that you did not cause the situation that made you have to choose. You are not responsible for fixing problems that adults created. Your only job is to survive, and then, when you are ready, to thrive. Marcus nodded slowly. I am scared. That is okay. Being scared means you understand how big this decision is. But Marcus, staying in a dangerous situation because you are scared of change, that is not bravery. That is just a different kind of fear. Real bravery is being terrified and doing it anyway. 3 months later, Marcus left. He moved out, got his own place, started building a life separate from the chaos of his family home. His younger siblings were placed with relatives who were safer. His mother eventually left too, following the example her son had set, and Marcus sent me a message that I kept saved on my phone. Thank you for showing me that leaving is not giving up. It is choosing yourself, and sometimes that is the most important choice you can ever make. By the time I turned 25, I had built a life I was proud of. A good job, a small apartment, healthy relationships with people who knew the truth about my past and loved me anyway. I was dating someone kind, someone who understood that trust was hard for me, but was patient while I learned. I had a relationship with Emma that had only grown stronger through everything we survived together. And I had Mom, who was thriving in ways she never could have while married to Michael. We did not talk about Michael much. He was serving his sentence in a federal prison in Pennsylvania. He sent letters occasionally, which I never opened. I was not ready for whatever he had to say. Maybe someday I would be. Maybe someday I would want closure or answers or something approximating a relationship with my biological father. But not yet. Not while I was still building myself into the person I wanted to be. On the anniversary of the day Mom handed me that envelope, 5 years later, I drove up to Canada to visit Catherine. She had become an important person in my life, a kind of honorary grandmother who asked nothing of me except that I be honest and take care of myself. We sat on her porch overlooking the mountains, drinking coffee and watching the sun set. "You turned out pretty good, kid," she said. "Thanks to a lot of people who helped when I needed it. You helped yourself too. You made hard choices. You kept showing up, even when you wanted to give up. That is all you. Can I ask you something? Why did you help us? Mom says you barely knew each other. Why would you risk everything to hide 3 strangers?" Catherine was quiet for a long moment, because 30 years ago, I was in a situation not so different from your mom's. Dangerous husband, kids to protect, no good options, and someone helped me, gave me a place to hide while I figured things out. Saved my life, really. So when your mom called and said she needed help, I did not even hesitate. That is what we do. Those of us who survive, we pay it forward. We help the next person who needs it. I want to do that, I said. Pay it forward. Help people the way I was helped. You already are, Ryan. Every day in your work. Every kid you help. That is paying it forward. That night, lying in the guest room that had been my first safe space after we ran, I thought about everything that had happened in the 5 years since that Thanksgiving Day divorce hearing. About the envelope. About Sarah's letters. About the 24 hours that changed everything. I thought about all the ways my life could have gone if Mom had not found the courage to leave, if I had chosen to stay behind, if Sarah had not documented evidence before she died, if Michael had been a different person, or if Mom had been less brave, or if any number of small moments had gone differently. But they had not gone differently. They had gone exactly as they needed to for me to end up here, in this moment, as this person. Scarred but whole, damaged but healing, defined not by the trauma of my past, but by the choices I made after learning the truth. Sarah had written that I was not Michael's darkness, that I was her curiosity and stubbornness and refusal to accept injustice. And she was right. I was all those things, but I was also Mom's patience and protectiveness. I was Emma's resilience. I was Catherine's generosity. I was every person who had shown me kindness when I needed it most. I was not just one thing, or one person, or one set of DNA. I was the sum of every choice I had made, and every person who had helped me make those choices. I was Ryan Castellano, son of Sarah, raised by Jennifer, protected by strangers who became family, survivor of lies and manipulations, and the complicated truth of where I came from. And most importantly, I was free. Free to choose who I wanted to be. Free to build the life I wanted. Free to make mistakes and learn from them and keep growing. The envelope Mom gave me that day outside the courthouse had contained a truth that shattered my world. But it had also given me a choice. Stay in the lie or run toward the truth. Stay safe in ignorance or embrace the dangerous reality. I had chosen truth. I had chosen to run, and that choice had saved my life. Now, 5 years later, I understood something I could not have known at 18. That envelope had not just contained evidence of my past. It had contained permission for my future. Permission to be someone other than who Michael wanted me to be. Permission to define myself on my own terms. Permission to break free from a legacy I never asked for and build something new. That is what I tell the young people I work with now. The ones facing impossible choices about staying or leaving. about protecting themselves or protecting others, about living in lies or running toward truth. I tell them that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is open the envelope, read the hard truth, face the scary reality, and then decide what you are going to do about it. I tell them that you always have 24 hours. 24 hours to pack a bag. 24 hours to make a choice. 24 hours to save yourself. And I tell them that on the other side of that choice, life is waiting. Not the life you planned. Not the life you thought you wanted. But a life that is real and honest and yours. A life worth running toward. I am 25 years old now. I have built a career helping families like mine escape situations like I escaped. I have a relationship with my sister that is stronger than blood. I have a mother who I understand better now, who I forgive for the choices she made when she thought she was protecting me. I have a girlfriend who knows my whole story and loves me anyway. I have friends who accept that I do not talk much about my childhood and do not push for details I am not ready to share. I have a therapist who helps me process trauma as it surfaces and teaches me that healing is not linear. And I have peace, real peace, the kind that comes from knowing you survived something that could have destroyed you and choosing to let it make you stronger instead. The envelope sits in a frame on my wall now, alongside Sarah's letter and a photo of the three of us, Mom, Emma, and me, taken on the day we moved into our house in Oregon. It is a reminder of where I came from and how far I have traveled. Sometimes people see it and ask about it. I usually deflect, change the subject, give a vague answer about family history. But occasionally, when someone really needs to hear it, I tell them the truth. I tell them about Sarah, the mother who died protecting me, about Mom, the aunt who became my mother and kept me safe for 18 years, about Michael, the man who was supposed to be my father but was really just a dangerous stranger with shared DNA. I tell them about the day everything fell apart and how falling apart was actually the beginning of coming together, about the choice I made to trust my mother when she said run, about the 24 hours that changed everything. And I tell them that if they are facing a similar choice, if someone they trust is handing them an envelope and telling them to pack a bag and decide, they should trust that person. Because sometimes the people who love us can see dangers we cannot. Sometimes they know things we need to learn. Sometimes they are offering us an escape route we did not know existed. And taking that escape route is not abandonment or cowardice or giving up. It is survival. It is choosing life over loyalty to a lie. It is honoring the sacrifices people made to protect you by protecting yourself. Emma graduated from high school last year and started college in Seattle. She is studying psychology, wants to work with kids who have experienced trauma. Because of you, she told me. Because I watched you turn your pain into purpose, and I want to do that too. Mom met someone, a kind man named David who is patient and gentle, and everything Michael was not. They are taking it slow, building something real, rather than rushing into something complicated. I like him. More importantly, I trust Mom to know what she needs now. And me? I am applying to graduate programs in clinical social work. I want to get my master's degree, maybe eventually my doctorate. I want to do research on young adults from abusive families, on that particular transition period when you are legally an adult but still emotionally and financially tied to your family. I want to write about the impossible choices we face and the courage it takes to choose ourselves, because that is what the envelope taught me. That choosing yourself is not selfish. That protecting yourself is not abandonment. That you cannot save people who do not want to be saved, but you can save yourself. And sometimes that act of self-preservation inspires others to save themselves too. Sarah saved herself by documenting evidence and making plans. Mom saved herself by finally believing what the evidence told her. I saved myself by choosing to run when running was the only option. And now, I help others save themselves, one impossible choice at a time. Last week, a 19-year-old girl came into my office. She had just discovered her father was not her biological father. She had just learned her whole family history was a lie. She was terrified and angry and did not know who to trust. I told her my story about the envelope and the 24 hours and the life I built after everything fell apart. And I told her something I wish someone had told me when I was 18 and scared and holding a letter that changed everything. I told her that the truth might destroy the life you thought you had, but it will set you free to build the life you were always meant to have. That lies keep us small and scared and stuck. But truth, no matter how painful, gives us the power to choose differently. She cried. I gave her tissues. We talked about options and resources and what safety looks like when your whole world is upside down. And when she left my office, she had a plan. She had support. She had hope. That is what I do now. I give people hope. I show them that survival is possible, that healing is possible, that building a life worth living after trauma is possible. Because I am living proof. My name is Ryan Castellano, son of Sarah, raised by Jennifer, survivor of Michael's lies and manipulation. I am 25 years old. I have a career I love, a family I chose, relationships built on honesty rather than obligation. And I am free. It started with an envelope, a dusty, yellowed envelope with my name on it, handed to me by my mother outside a courthouse on the day her divorce was finalized. Inside was a truth that shattered everything I thought I knew, a choice that gave me 24 hours to decide who I wanted to be. I chose truth. I chose freedom. I chose myself. And that choice made all the difference. Thank you for listening to my story of growing up faster than I ever wanted to. I have left 2 more stories on your screen, both from young men who learned that sometimes becoming an adult does not happen at 18. It happens the moment your family needs you to be strong. Click on whichever one speaks to you. And if you want to join our community of people who understand what it is like to be forced to grow up overnight, that notification bell is waiting. Until tomorrow, remember, age is just a number, but courage defines who you really are.